Watch and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight I want to discuss, which is just about the most off-putting episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the entire series. And when I say off-putting, I don't mean so much in like the offensive sense that like if anything too controversial happens. Well, actually, no, wait, hang on, that's not true. Something pretty controversial happens in this episode. And the episode I'm talking about is season 6, episode 17. And for anybody who loves Buffy, they know this episode. It's called Normal Again. And what this is Buffy is tracking down the trio. She ends up in some house where they may or may not be. And Warren summons this demon that's got these sort of spiky needle type things all over it. And when Buffy's battling with it, it sticks her. And that causes her to hallucinate that she's actually like schizophrenic and in a mental hospital in Sunnydale, of course. But she's not a vampire slayer. The vampire thing is a complete fabrication of her psychosis. And in this world, her mom and dad, Joyce and her father, they never divorced. They have a daughter who's mentally ill, and she's been institutionalized due to the severity of her mental illness. And that's perfectly cool and everything. I love it when shows do this sort of thing. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. And so the episode kind of bounces back and forth. Buffy is battling the demon. She's doing this. And then it's like, you know, she ends up thinking her friends are all evil and she's got to take them out because they're part of her psychosis. And then it jumps back to her being in the hospital and the doctors talking to her parents and saying how bad her mental illness is and how her schizophrenia is so completely out of control. And then it bounces back into the world of Buffy. And fortunately, at the end of the episode, it rounds out, and of course her friends are not slaughtered. Buffy comes to her senses and saves the day. And that would have been fine, and I wouldn't be making this video. And I know, like I said, pretty much the entire fan base can't stand this episode because of how it ends. Like I said, there wouldn't be any problem had they just left well enough alone there. But the episode actually concludes with sick Buffy in the hospital. After she ties all up the loose ends, get rid of the demons, yada, 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 her and her friends are all good again, it cuts back to schizophrenic Buffy and the doctor informing her parents how she slipped back into catatonia and how she's gone again. And that's how the episode ends. So, does that mean that the entire show was just the delusions of a mentally ill teenager who had invented this world due to said mental illness? And Willow and Xander and Tara and everybody, they don't exist. They're just figments of this girl's imagination, whoever she is, because her name might still be Buffy, but if she's not Buffy the Vampire Slayer, she's just Buffy Summers. She's just another girl in the world who, this particular girl, is rather sick. And that really bothered me. And I know that it bothered a lot of people as well, because I've read about this from time to time, and nobody seems too thrilled about how they chose to end this episode, because it does suggest that the entire show never happened. And I just don't understand why they would end it that way. So were they trying to like kind of slip in that this entire show is just a hallucination? Because if so, that kind of pisses me off. Because season 6 is fucking depressing enough, especially considering that it follows season 5 where Joyce dies. And Buffy's got to work at fast food. She's working at the Double Meat Palace. And she almost loses the house because of Joyce's medical bills. And all her friends have to move in order to keep the house. And so you're telling me none of that happened? And that this is all just some hallucination? And goddamn, does that bother me? Because, I mean, that calls into question everything about the show, and I just don't understand why they do that. Unless the show never happened, and we are just sort of living through the delusions of a mentally ill teenager in some psychiatric hospital somewhere. I mean, they did the same thing at the end of St. Elsewhere. That hospital didn't exist. It was in the snow globe of a mentally ill child. I mean, the show ends with an earthquake because the kid's shaking the snow globe. So St. Elsewhere never happened. So did Buffy the Vampire Slayer was she not a vampire slayer? Do vampires not exist? Because I'm telling you, In my world, vampires exist. And I'm going to find one of those motherfuckers and I'm going to beg them to turn me. But yeah, I just don't get that. It's always bothered me. So, thank you for hanging out with me while I discussed Season 6, Episode 17, Normal Again, of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's the most confusing and infuriating episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer ever. Like always, if you like this discussion or whatever, don't forget to do something nice for somebody, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.